It's Rob Schilling's not only friend, he's family. He's quite a supporter, advocate of not only free speech rights, but all things American, our principles. He's been a good friend to the Tea Party, but more importantly, he's been a good friend to every member in this community, whether they politically agree with him or not. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to present to you the host of the Schilling Show on WINA, and our good friend, Mr. Rob Schilling.
All right, thank you very much. And I think we got something working here, so this is really good. Hey, it's great to see you here. I know you had many other things that you could do tonight, but you knew that it was important enough what's been happening in this city and the transgression of the lawless city council that we needed to be here tonight talking about these issues. You know, this is about free speech rights for everybody, not just for some. I know a lot of you read Animal Farm. You remember that some animals were more equal than others? Yeah. That's what it's like. And over here, I'm sorry to call you animals, but we're the unequal animals. But it's exactly the way we're treated in the city, people who want to have equal protection under the law. So in Charlottesville and Albemarle, it seems to be the case that some are more equal than others because some groups can protest without a permit for days breaking the law while others have to comply. Not that we wouldn't comply anyway. Some groups are given a free pass to break the law. Did you hear that the Charlottesville city manager told the police not to enforce the law? Has he ever heard of the 14th Amendment and equal protection under the law? And the reason he did it? It was purely political. Everybody knows that. He can make up whatever stories he wants to cover himself. But he ordered the chief of police to violate upholding the law, and that was a violation of the U.S. Constitution.
Amen.
Some groups... And
that's our document.
And that is our document. You're exactly right. Some groups in Charlottesville pay the fee, while others are offered fee-free law-breaking. Hey, this is Charlottesville. You don't have to pay if we agree with you, but everybody else has to pay. It's outrageous. I'm proud of this group of Carol Thorpe and the Jefferson Area Tea Party who said, you know what? We're not taking your free fee. We'll pay because we follow the law.
Which I forgot to mention, they offered that to us as well.
That's right.
They offered us the free fee, and they wouldn't give me a reason why, and finally they came out with it and they said, well, we did it for Occupy Charlottesville. Well, we're saying thanks, but no thanks. You keep our $25 as you always have when we put in our application.
Amen.
In other words, keep that fee and shove it. So we talked about the homeless and the way that the homeless are treated in the city. And if they went into any park, they would be rousted out because that's the law. But it's not only the homeless. Hey, if any one of us standing here right now, people who have a home, decided we wanted to sleep in the park after 11 o'clock, in any park in the city aside from that one over there, we would get rousted too. There are special privileges and rights being given to the more equal animals here in the city of Charlottesville. And now we also have open season on the Tea Party. You know, you have all been referred to as conspiracy theorists. That was David Toscano. And climate change deniers. That was David Toscano.
He's my representative.
Well, use the word loosely. I don't think he represents you. And can you imagine what would happen in this community if Ken Boyd or some other conservative, Rodney Thomas, came forward and made comments about these favored groups like ASAP? They would be run out of town. It would be on the front page of the daily newspaper. Ken Boyd insulted ASAP, or Ken Boyd insulted Impact, or any one of these other liberal groups that curries favor from the city and the county.
Sierra Club.
The Sierra Club's another one. But you see, they understand that when they were elected to represent, that they do represent everybody, and they do not make off-the-cuff remarks from the dais as some others have done. And so where do we get our free speech rights? There was a very funny story. You remember the boy Congressman Perriello, and I refused to call him Representative Perriello because he never represented me, never. Not on one issue. He was approached at a meeting one time in his office when he let people come in. And you remember that issue as well. And he was asked by Michael Del Rosso, hey Tom, where do we get our First Amendment rights to free speech? And Tom said, well, from the Bill of Rights, from the First Amendment. And Michael Del Rosso said, wrong, wrong. Tom Perriello, the constitutional expert, was wrong on a very simple question because, you see, he forgot the Declaration of Independence. He somehow forgot that. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by, let me say this, their Creator.
With certain inalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
And you see, this crowd can recite that by heart. and I mean by heart, because we've taken it to heart. But people around here who are elected officials who have sworn oaths to uphold the Constitution, unfortunately, don't do so. So the rights come from God and cannot be taken away by man. That's the idea of the United States of America. It was unique in all of history. But not only that, the government was instituted to protect the natural or God-given rights. That's what governments are here for. And so when we see people in City Hall or in the county office building or running for office who are looking to usurp those rights and take them away, or to grant them sparingly and then take credit for it, and want us to be on our knees bowing down to them and thanking them for letting us come here and speak, that is wrong, and it is a violation. So we've had this disturbing pattern of disrespect, which has been recounted earlier, but I will give you a few more that haven't been referenced tonight, by elected members of the left-wing establishment, the socialists and Marxists, David Toscano, who are running local government. When Democrat David Norris, the mayor of Charlottesville, whom I semi-affectionately referred to as Norris Hood, and you know why, when he talked about the Tea Party, his comment was, the Tea Party is just a group interested in making the moderately wealthy fabulously wealthy. He slapped you in the face.
Oh my gosh.
And in doing so, he displayed his utter ignorance of this movement. Democrat Dennis Rooker, we've got a couple of those. Democrat Dennis Rooker from the dais in the Albemarle County office building said the Tea Party was trying to quote-unquote infiltrate Albemarle County government. Can you imagine?
Be scared! Be scared!
So when is it an infiltration for people who actually believe in the Constitution to want to be involved in their government? That is what should happen. His admission that he sees that as an infiltration tells me that he does not understand the American form of government.
Exactly. Amen, brother.
Are we an infiltration?
I know.
But you see, Dennis Rooker didn't stop there. He had to open his mouth again. He just can't control himself. And that is, I think, a characteristic of many on the left who cannot shut their mouths because they never had somebody slap their hands and tell them no when they were speaking inappropriately. They've never grown up. So Dennis Rooker had another meeting, and this was after the fabulous victory of the Jefferson Area Tea Party, conservatives, libertarians, and librarians in this area who stood forward and said, we don't want the United Nations in our government. That's the infiltrator. That's the interloper. Get them out because they are not here for us. And it was a tremendous victory for this community, carried by very few against great odds, and it was a success. And so what did Dennis Rooker have to say about the success? He could not just take it like a man and say, you know what, I lost tonight. What he had to say about that was, the Tea Party is trying to put a notch in their gun, and that's all this is about, a notch in the Tea Party gun. An abject lie and another slap in the face from an elected Democrat.
We got freedom.
And then, of course, we had Democrat David Toscano, who's been talked about earlier tonight, and we couldn't believe when he was talking about all of you showing up at the Albemarle County office building to express your concern over ICLEI, the United Nations, and cool counties. You know what he called you? And he did this publicly on his blog, on his website, because he feels so entitled to his position that he could insult large groups of his constituency. He called you climate change deniers. Okay? That's how he referred to you. And conspiracy theorists. And what he said, as Steve Peters referenced earlier, was basically, if you don't agree, if you don't drink the climate change Kool-Aid, letting you speak is not productive. Now, what does he mean by that? Who could possibly disallow you from speaking at a government meeting? Well, I'm guessing that he meant that Ann Malik should tell you no, because I don't know any other person who's holding a gavel at those meetings. So that's what David Toscano thinks of you. And then, of course, we had Democrat David Brown taking a personal swipe at the Tea Party the other evening, using Carol Thorpe as a foil, totally inappropriate. Had to apologize. At least he did that, although he didn't answer Carol's questions. And then we had Democrat Cynthia Neff, who sent out mailer after mailer after mailer, and things that she sent out over the internet, calling the Tea Party conspiracy theorists and radicals. Who's the radical, Cynthia Neff?
Yeah.
And have we turned the definition on its ear in America?
Yeah.
There has been a total and reckless disregard of free speech rights for those that disagree. And so what are the similarities amongst these people that are taking this right or attempting to take it from you? Well, they all share the statist collectivist political point of view. They believe the state knows better than you do. Hey, they all support the big government takeover that is delineated in the 1998 Sustainability Accords, every single one of them. They all appear to be functionally illiterate when it comes to the United States Constitution and the foundational principles of America.
They don't appear to be, they are.
And they all support free speech and other rights only for the more equal animals.
Yes, that's right.
So let me close by telling you what we can do. We got to stand up against out-of-control government or more rights will be lost. And I don't have to tell you what the examples are because we've talked about them all night and they continue daily in this community in Albemarle County and in Charlottesville. We have to do as several of the Tea Party members did recently when they met with David Toscano and told him, how dare you say that about me, and I'm going to hold you accountable for your words. No matter what it is you said, you are held accountable. And you know what? He backed down to some degree. It was effective. The gradual transfer of rights from the grantor God to the grantor government is a dangerous development in America, and it's happening here in Charlottesville and Albemarle County. The Tea Party, you members of this movement, you are the last line of defense against this assault. So I want to say to you, congratulations for standing up. Congratulations for speaking out and for being here today as a sign that you will not be intimidated by the Dave Norrises, the David Browns, the David Toscanos, the Dennis Rookers, and the Cynthia Neffs of this world. Thank you.